What's up, guys? So I got another request for an Astrix track, and this one's actually particularly interesting. So it's not from a track. I actually tried to find this track and I couldn't find it. Maybe somebody can correct me in the comments. It's from a video which he posted on his channel quite a while ago. So I noticed something really funny in the video that both myself and Astrix have in common. Just watch his leg over here as soon as he presses play. So I've got a theory. If you've got that restless leg, just let me know in the comments as well. I want to know if it's something that all producers have. So anyway, on to the actual request. So it's for that kind of like old school ravey trance-gated chord pattern over there. And the very interesting thing about this video is we actually get a little insight into the exact chord progression that is chosen there. So deducing what is on screen here and the chord pattern and stuff, I was able to kind of closely recreate the sound. Unfortunately, I don't use Nexus, and Nexus doesn't actually have a sort of synth engine inside it. It's built on samples and that kind of thing. But that being said, it had a pretty cool trance-gate effect in there. And we can try to recreate that sound using phase plant. So what I want to do is I first want to jump into the MIDI to show you guys exactly what's going on here. So what I've done is I've transposed this to -7, and just because I found it was a little bit easier for me to work out exactly the notes. But if you guys want to pause the video, you can obviously copy that if you want. The interesting thing here is there's a key change. So whether you want to do a key change in your track or not, that's up to you. You know, if you are going to want to play this kind of progression over a bass line, it's probably going to need a key change, and I'll explain a little bit more later on how to kind of avoid those types of things. But this is the chord progression as it was on screen there. So what I want to do with you guys is I want to recreate a sound with this pattern that I've got here. So let's just go and add an instance of phase plant over here. I'm going to mute this guy and get it out of the way. We can pop this MIDI over here. So obviously, due to the fact that Nexus is a sort of sampler, so to speak, I might not be able to get the sound exact. But that being said, as I've got a pretty good idea is what sort of sound that is. I'm pretty sure it's a kind of SuperSaw. And how we achieve something like that is by simply just adding an analog oscillator and using a bit of unison and then playing around with this detune setting. So I like to put on a LFO with a very low, let's say something like 0.4 hertz, and give it a bit of detune. So that's pretty much the basis of the sound, and then when you feed some chords into it, you get this really cool kind of old school ravey vibe. But to give it more of a kind of string vibe, we can give it some attack and some release. So let's play around with this trance gate over here. So this is really, really cool for creating these kind of like gated patterns. Let's set this to a 32. I believe in this example, it was something like this default that it starts with. And then we can just add on an extra 3 like that. And then one note that is 3. And then just fill the space like this. Cool, so let's put on this MIDI modifiers just so I can tune it into the key that it was in. So there was also a little bit of pluck in that sound. So what I want to do is I want to use, it was kind of more like a distorted filter kind of vibe. I think more like a 303 style filter or a ladder style filter. So let's use an LFO to recreate a kind of envelope style pattern. So let's choose from one of these built-in. Let's go with a ramp. Let's sync it to 1/16. And then let's set it to control the cutoff over here. Okay, let's give it some delay and reverb to fill that kind of space. So what I want to do is let's create two LFOs, both controlling the cutoff slightly. Turn this one down a little bit. One with more of a kind of roundedness and one with more of a pluckiness. And then I want to use a random, and let's sync this. Let's just go for 2/16 and give it a bit of smooth. And then we can get this one to kind of sidechain control one of these LFOs. And that gives us that kind of like jittery effect on the kind of filter. Actually want to turn this to unipolar so it doesn't go into the reverse. Cool. So let's set a macro to control the cutoff. I just want to go a little bit further down. And then I want to get a macro to kind of control this delay. And I want to get it to feedback. But the difficult thing here is what I like to do is set the macro to 100% and then dial it in so that I can see exactly where the feedback is. And you kind of don't want to go too far because you can cause some issues there. Cool, that sounds good. Let's just call this delay. So the idea here, or as you can see, we can use this in two ways. I've made a kind of kick and bass section here. This kick and bass kind of goes to the progression of this key change. So as you can see here, it kind of goes up over there to kind of match the key change over here. So that kind of key change in the bass is a little bit uplifting for kind of like the more psychedelic stuff. So it kind of depends on what kind of vibe you want to go for. But I kind of want to show you the two different ways that you could use this for the different kind of vibes. But if you don't want to use a kind of key changing bass, you kind of want to keep it more stable, more psychedelic, that kind of thing. We're just going to keep it in the loop there, that's fine. Then what's a very powerful technique is to use these kind of key changes and stuff in a break, because it makes that when it comes in with that kind of stable bass line, it kind of gives it much more contrast, if that makes sense. So a really cool thing to do with these types of key change stuff to kind of bring it back into the actual track is to do a break where you kind of do the full progression and then do the first little chop of the progression again and then echo it out and then drop the kick and bass or something like that. So we created this other macro here, and this is giving us some like feedback on the delay and stuff. So as this filter rises over here, we can boost that delay in this macro basically. Okay, I've looped it, so let's just delete here so it stays at that max setting. I actually want to put some further reverb on here. Built-in kilohertz, the phase plant reverb is nice, but it doesn't have those kind of like wishy-washy top end, which is nice for these kind of sounds, especially when you boost the input and output filters here. Is this active? Yeah. I just want to get that feedback just right. You know what? Is the MIDI actually carries on here. So I want to just cut this clip like this and then just reduce the size of these guys. It wasn't the feedback that was going on, it was the MIDI. What you can also do, which is a cool trick, is to kind of use this to lead it into a break where you've got a key change and then drop it back in again. So let's just say something like this. Awesome, that one was nice and simple, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I gave you some variations on kind of how to use it and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully that was useful. A big thanks to IDM Mag, proud supporters of the dance music scene and my channel. And yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time.